Okay, kids, here we are. This is the debut program, the first, hopefully, of many of what are we calling this thing? Ghost Town Politics. I'm Rachel's ghost. You see it right there. There's my good pal, Blake McKenzie. And for the inaugural show, we're going to be talking a little bit about kind of where we're going to be going with this thing, the kind of issues that are of interest to us that we find important, and also a little bit about our background. So a lot of people that are here already in the initial crowd are brought over from my music channel. And there's a very friendly and warm hello from my buddy Blake. So Blake, without further ado, why don't you get in there and tell the kids, hold on, shut up, Rachel, and get in there and tell the kids about yourself. All right.
Well, I'm a born and bred British Columbian. Born here in 1969. I've pretty much lived most of my life entirely in British Columbia in different parts. I have a fascination with history, and even more specifically in the gold rush, and expansion of the Wild West, ghost towns, mining camps. Um, I'm an entrepreneur. I've operated in different businesses, from mainly everything from music promotion and band management for the first decade of my youth. And also went on to operate in the tourism industry, operating at provincial historic sites, out on Chamber of Commerce's and tourism marketing boards, or DMOs. Been involved with, for the last 20 plus years, involved in vacation rental property management. So I just got back from Austin from our big national convention down in Texas. So that's it in a nutshell, outside of my interest in politics, which this show, I think, is going to be a big part of it. I've been involved as a vice president of the Conservative Party of British Columbia. I've been involved with different initiatives to fight bad taxes. And hopefully we'll have an enjoyable time talking with people and about some of the things that concern us, and keeping a heads up on, and then hopefully everyone comes in with an open mind and here's what we have to say. We've got a lot on our chest.
And I got a big chest. I'm a what they call a post-operative transsexual. Now, this is the weirdest thing. I'm a mixed race. I'm Métis. I'm largely French, and I'm like a quarter breed Native American Indian. That's Kiowa or the Kiowa, however you want to do it. I'm largely Cree, Dene people, and Shoshone are some of the tribes that have actually, and I've got cousins all over the place, second cousins, admittedly, on reservation stuff. I was adopted out, so I didn't internalize any of the native culture, anything like that. Hello, Rachel, your friend from Wales here, my beloved Wales. I was fortunate enough to be adopted into a Welsh family, and Cymru am Byth, which is God bless Wales. And with that in mind, God bless Wales, I also identify as a Christian. So there's a documentary currently underway about yours truly and my lovely better half, Susie Q. Maybe one of these days we'll get her up here to be introduced. But essentially, I had an incredible, transformative salvation experience. And for me, I'm not into identity politics. I disavow it. Rainbow sidewalks mean nothing to me. Putting a sticker on a building to make me supposedly feel welcome means nothing to me. I think the whole thing is ridiculous. And so that's my bias about it. The point is, because I am a Christian, then it shapes a lot of my reaction to the world around me and the events and the things that we're seeing from powers far greater than myself as a citizen here. I'm also on Vancouver Island, spent some time in the 1960s in Manitoba. It's really interesting. My politics are really informed by my faith. So you got Pierre Poilievre doing this thing, and I should have brought it up, but I'm going to show you now. This is why one of the main reasons I didn't vote for this guy. And I'm going to play a little clip of it now, because every time I look at it, I just can't believe what I'm seeing. Okay, hang on. So bear with me, Blake, but I do want
Yeah.
to letting the people know we're establishing where we come from. I don't dig that.
Waheguru Chikakalsa, Waheguru Chikifate. Today we celebrate the great values of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, the 10th Guru of Sikhism.
All right. Okay. He brought home the Khalsa, the Khalsa. It's not my culture. It's not our history. It has nothing to do with Canada. Hey, Rach, this is a nice pivot for you, and hi, Susie, as well. Delphina, we love you. I love you. I'm a big fan of yours. A great lady down in California. And she's a free thinker, this lady. I would, I'm at risk to say she's a former Democrat. She may still be a Democrat. And on this show, Blake and I both have, and I don't want to speak for Blake, but I think it's safe to say we both have a great love and affection for the United States of America. And of course, I'm enamored of the current guy. Let's not do
Let's look at that shirt.
I love this age, the big. So I'm all on board with Trump. So much is going on in this world, and we're also, folks, if you're in Europe or in Australia, New Zealand, we are feeling for you people too. Lots happening in Europe, lots happening in New Zealand, and because we're on YouTube, with that stringent guidelines, we got to toe the line here. We're kind of talk gently around things, but let's turn it over to Blake. Blake, anything that's and of course we're open to any questions. I'm an open book here. I'm retired, so I got no secrets to conceal. So it basically makes me Teflon and invulnerable. There's not much you can do to me. I'm going to get you fired, you son of a bitch. And there's nothing to fire me from. So, but Blake, what's on your heart today as we come before us? We've given a little bit of our background. What's motivating you?
Well, I guess just to kind of follow up with some of the points you made, I guess I am biased as well. I do have both Welsh in my family, because you mentioned that earlier, on my mother's side. On my dad's side, we are heavily connected across border. My grandmother was from the Dakotas.
Yeah.
And I've got a lot of family that's spread out into Colorado, Oregon, and over to the East Coast of the United States. So we're a long-time family. Mackenzies have been on the continent for a long time, from fur traders to early colonists.
Yeah.
So we're well connected everywhere. So I don't really see the United States border as a border as much as most people see it today. I've often seen historically through my travels where even in British Columbia, there was a one-room schoolhouse built in Sidley, BC, which is a ghost town right on the border of Washington and British Columbia. And guess what? Ranchers on both sides of the border sent their kids to the same school.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to get to that time where we can have that open border. And that's some of the things that's on my mind. When people are talking about the end of Canada and, we're not for sale, I don't think Trump has asked us if we're for sale. I've never heard him actually say that once.
No, he hasn't.
And he's more of an open, extenuating an arm to us, or extending an arm to say, hey, come join us. You might as well. We pretty much share a common mother in the sense of, we come from the same historical backgrounds of old England.
Yeah.
Our laws are based from there. Everything from the Magna Carta moving forward. So I think we have a lot of connection. We've had a lot of history of North-South trading relationships. And let's face it, our people have come back and forth across the borders forever. And since it began. So nothing's changed. The only thing really changed is maybe on eastern side of Canada, you had loyalists that took off, left the 13 colonies and populated central Canada. And maybe some of that is still there, embedded into Canada's roots to, not join the revolution. But there's so many new people here in Canada. They're not clamoring to come to Canada just for Canada. They're clamoring to be close to the United States. And I would argue that's a big reason why we even get immigration to Canada, is we have the protective umbrella of the most powerful nation on earth, and a benevolent nation on earth, regardless of what people want to say, that there's war hawks. But you know what? They've never invaded Canada. I don't count the War of 1812. That was a fight with England.
We had trouble with the Fenians.
That's right. But I think it's time to stop the saber rattling and the hyperbole in the media, and we should all find a way to come together, even if it's a common European Union-like type relationship between Canada and the United States, or let's create Fortress North America to protect ourselves, to be a freest places in the world.
Yeah.
And if you want to be part of us, then you got to share the same values. There has to be a values that.
Otherwise you truly become what Trudeau called the post-nationalist state. No shared values, no common core that binds us all together. And to your point about America or identifying with it, I'm very proud to say that my kid's sister is an American citizen living in Colorado. Now, this is my biological sister. I was adopted out, reunited with my biological family. And my older sister, I hate to say older, because she's so cute, but it's Maureen. She's here, and I love her so much. And she just moved off Vancouver Island out into the great province of Alberta, Canada. So, Maureen, we love you, and I'm so glad you're here. We're going to talk a little bit about Pakistan, India. We're happy.
Yeah, that's on my mind too.
We'll take whatever you kids want to bring. The other thing I want to mention is my grandfather, Paddy Doran, a good Irish name. Paddy, this is my biological grandfather. He was born in Spokane, Washington, and all my uncles on my adoptive side were all born, on my mom's side, all born in Oregon. Or Walla Walla, Washington. You're not. My aunt was born in Walla Walla, my favorite beloved aunt. Make sure you say that properly, beloved aunt. Spell it properly. But because, you Larry David fans know what I'm talking about. But so I have these connections to America, and I love the country. I have no reservations about becoming the 51st state. And I am on the X platform as is Blake. And one of the things I like to show is my favorite meme. I post this over and over again. And this is really what I think about Canada over here vis-a-vis our political structure and what the Americans got right now. That kid in the middle's me, whatever prime minister, who the fuck cares? Donald John Trump. I love the guy. And, it's a very difficult time. It's almost like when you talk to like Jehovah's Witnesses about the blood of Jesus, they freak out because they got a whole structure of thought around it. And so even at the very mention of Donald Trump, you got to, he's a fascist. He's going to put you in the concert. I had a guy, Massey, my good buddy. He said, they're going to throw you in the concentration camp. I go, what the fuck are you smoking, man? That is just nonsense. But, it's so volatile. It's really hard to get around and talk about these issues without sparking such fervent emotion. But there's so much going on in England. We get it here. This comment was raised up. He says, man, you got nothing. You should see what's going on in England right now. We're aware that Keir Starmer is an absolute mess. We know that people are doubling back whenever there's ethnic murders. Let's just leave it at that. Ethnic murders. That's problematic. That is problematic. And it's kind of like they've just outlawed. Did you hear about this, Blake, where they've outlawed swords? Samurai, you can't own a samurai sword. They started with guns, now take swords. Eventually people will say, you punched them to death.
Hey, they're kicking.
They're go the hands.
They're kicking indoors for people speaking freely on social media too there. So, we're not far behind. We've seen it here in Canada where, we're looking at a bill in Canada that may restrict our free speech. And literally you could have police showing up at your door saying, hey, we're here to check you out because of some things you said on X or you said on social media of any type. We're supposed to be one of the freest places on earth. Why are, Canada has been dropping down in the freedom index of free press for 10 years straight now, since coincidentally the Liberals took power.
Well, Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
So we're fully aware of what's going on there. What happened in Australia and other And the thing is, why is this happening so incredibly fast within the Western world? Why is it a suicide march for what was the freest nations on earth? What brought us great prosperity? We leaped forward to, is it decadence? Is maybe the reason we've lost our sense of who we are, our identity, and identity is important. Having a unified vision where we can rally around the same flag for that same reason, that brought unification. But as soon as, oh, we've got to introduce all these different types of values that don't align with our Western values, we're seeing this decline everywhere. But I still don't understand why is there's this idea, let's put a gun to our own heads and commit, cultural suicide.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's happening, and it's scary, for a lot of people. And that's what we're seeing with the backlash. That's what Trump represents. He is the return to reestablishing the revolution in the United States. The 1776 revolution is back, and Canada, of course, is getting swallowed up in that too. The people are heavily impacted by the U.S. media. And I'm talking both alternative, or let's say the new mainstream, since we are all the media, as Elon Musk calls us.
Yeah.
And the dinosaur media is what it is. It's dying. And they're struggling to hold on. Canada showed that there's still a little bit of power there. And that's just because the government funded them to the amount of $600 million.
Well, yeah. And I think with Doge in the U.S., that's taken a real kick at U.S. aid. And a lot of these legacy outfits such as PBS and, the public broadcasters, NPR, they're, the microscopes scopes on these entities because they're pure propaganda outlets, and they are being curtailed. And once you cut them where it hurts in terms of the finances, their impact, you're going to see hopefully a lot less of that. So, Leland, welcome to the show, the new channel, man. It's good to have you over here. This is a crazy one. In the UK, they're trying to make it illegal to preach the Bible on the streets. Ladies and gentlemen, I watch a guy called Wes Huff. I'm a big King James Bible reader. I'm currently reading it again for, the fifth time through, cover to cover. I read it, hundreds of times, individual books and but I just picked up this thing, the NASB, New American Standard. Apparently, it's the most accurate. Apparently, according to Wes Huff, who's an ancient document. Look at that pretty little Bible. But anyway, a big script for my old eyes, and it's gorgeous. So once I finish the KJV, then I'm going to be NASB, and just because I want to read that version, just to see if I do get any insight or revelation, as they say, from reading that version. But just excited about that. But the fact that you can't preach it, where you got all these people with Palestinian flags yelling the name of their favorite deity, it makes you wonder why rules for thee and not for me, right? That's a little crazy.
Yeah, it is bizarre what we're seeing today, where the very foundations of our societies have been based on, I think, a lot of the Christian ethos. I mean, it is based on mercy and forgiveness. Our laws may be very much tied to the Old Testament, the Ten Commandments, but a lot of the liberties come from that perspective that you forgive too, and you find ways, and a lot of that's changing. We're moving to an eye for an eye type culture, which is very much in the Islamic side. You steal something, you get your hand cut off. Now, that there's some people, I think, in our society, regardless of religion, would believe that's okay. Maybe we should do that. That might send a signal. Or should we stone people to death in the public square? But I don't think we want to. I mean, our liberal democracies, in a historical sense, not in the modern sense of the term liberal, it stands opposed to that. We believe people are innocent until proven guilty. We provide them the ability to say who they are. But, a lot of these religious faiths that we're bringing in that are, the Islamification of we're seeing in neighborhoods where they're basically exacting their own laws. and the governments are turning a blind eye to it, and that's dangerous. I mean, we just recently had in British Columbia, where on the Haida Gwaii Islands, formerly known as the Queen Charlotte Islands, where
we've done that, yeah.
they just destroyed a guy's house and chased his friends because he killed somebody in a car accident, a hit and run, and because he was a bad guy, I guess, was selling drugs and doing stuff like that. But the fact was, he did not face a day in court, but his friends and associated to him were also being chased by vigilante mobs out of the community. Do we want to see that at a large scale? Do we want to see homosexuals being thrown off roofs of our buildings? No, I don't think we do.
The trans people. Oh my God, that's horrible. But
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. Now, this is one of the concerns about having, absolutely, this is scripture right here. If the world hates you, know that they hated him first. And really, Chris, when it comes to the issue that you're talking about, the Jehovah's Witnesses, that's, of course, Christ gives the great commandment, go into whatever city receives you, go door to door. And if they receive you, wonderful, bless. But if they don't, shake off the dust of your feet and, turn your heel on them and move away. From a secular perspective, 21st century and 20th, because I'm that old, but the idea that you're out in the market, I get it. I'm out in the marketplace, you're dealing with people, you're on a bus, God forbid you should be on a bus, and some guy's drunk next to you, you can't help it. It's public transport. You're open, you're out there on the street, some kid accosts you, hey, I'm doing a broadcast, come and see my thing, and the Jehovah's Witness sitting in their little stand or whatever. I'm okay with it out there, but really, you don't need it. And the word has been preached. Everybody knows what's what. The great call, preach the word in season, out of season, when it's good, when it's not, when it's cool, when it's not cool to do it. But other than that, be led of the Spirit, use some wisdom, use some discernment. And if it's working against you, maybe you want to change tactics a bit, because you go by as the Spirit leads. And when it becomes too formulaic, one of the things about religion, and not to pick on any particular religion, but the costuming of religion, right? I remember standing on a balcony, leaning over a balcony with my friend. God, it could have been you, Blake. And like a block away, two guys riding on bikes in white shirts, coming getting closer, and I could see the little black rectangular clasp eyes with the white shirts by. I go, a couple of Mormons going by. I should not be able to identify. You will know them by their shirts. No.
And bicycles.
You'll know them by their fruits. Okay, the fruit of the Spirit. Watching, building some character. That's kind of interesting, Chris. I'm not going to highlight the thing because, again, we're on YouTube. I don't want to cause any trouble with any particular group or anything. There's a lot of sensitivity. But yeah, I am hearing that because of the greater exposure to the West, that people from some of the more Eastern philosophical, theological orientations are opening their hearts to God. And I say, man, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Kimba's here. I love Kimba. She's just an old friend. I've known her. She's young, but I'm old. But I've known her on the internet for about 7 years or so. I mean, going way back. And she's just a dear, and we love Kimba. Kimba, so nice to have you here. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. And folks, unfortunately, we're back to this. When you do one of these shows, hit the thumbs up. The debut show, we got 26 watching. We're certainly not breaking the internet. We truly are a ghost town right now, ghost town politics. Yep. But we're hoping you'll see something here that you enjoy. Vote for Pedro, yeah. Eddie. That's a freaking lolly. So, but we're hoping you'll see something you like. So please give the video a like, give it a thumbs up, and it helps us out. I've got 4 thumbs up, so that's a very small percentage of the very small audience that we're generating. But I think over time, and I'm going to be appearing more so than Blake. Blake's got a real life to live. I'm retired, so he's out there, earning the nickel and dime, making society better. But as for me, I've got a lot more time. So I'll be doing maybe a half-hour show every day. I don't know what time. I'll lock it in at some point. Don't want to tread on anybody's toes, but it is a political channel, so it's going to be very different from anything that I'm previously involved with. RE, the vinyl community. As you can see, I got a lot of records up there, guitars, amplifier, and an amazing stereo back there. So, so that's just one of my interests. I'm all over the map. I love stuff. I'm a product of my generation, a product of my age. I know Blake is as well. Blake has history with rock and roll as well in Puget Sound area up into Victoria, British Columbia. And it's a remarkable story that we can share at a later date. Let's do Pakistan, India. Blake, thoughts?
Well, I think that the danger is every wargaming look at those two countries, if they start hurling missiles at each other, those nukes, it almost inevitably ends with the entire world getting involved with a nuclear war. I mean, it is a volatile location just because the views between Pakistan and India are polar opposites. And I think historically, India has held a very strong position in that region, but have over the last 1,000 years have seen encroachments from Islamicists from one side coming in from their east or their west, but from the east. And of course, in modern day, China. Right, China is an adversary to India, and but they're two of the world's largest populations, and I think India is now the largest population on Earth for a country, and it has surpassed China. So, and India isn't any slouch militarily either. They've got some pretty good weapons, and they've got a lot of bodies. So we got to hope that they don't start escalating into missiles and nukes. If it goes to nukes, we're going to be in a whole lot of hurt worldwide. So we got to make sure we can put an end to that. But I think my concern is much tied to the election of Trump. It always seems like when the world elites don't like a certain person taking over the United States, they stir up the pot and all these hornets' nests all over the world. And hopefully Trump doesn't take the bait, and hopefully India doesn't take the bait. But it is what it is. It's distractions. Hopefully that's all it is, and it will scale down. But we got to be very careful. That's two big countries with a lot of people and have a lot of nukes.
I think one of the issues, if it's truly nuclear, India fires, the radars go, oh, things are coming. Oh, well, we'll counter launch. Boom. Oh, well, that ended. That's over.
Yeah.
India's gone and Pakistan's gone. Oh, everything's gone. Delphine asked a great question. What is the issue? I know there's some territorial issues up in
Kashmir.
The Kashmir area is problematic. Apart from the religious and cultural differences between the two peoples.
Yeah.
But it's messy, and this endless wars thing. I think one thing we have to learn from, all the fear mongering about Trump that he's going to create World War III or any of this nonsense, quite the opposite. He's like John Lennon. Give peace a chance. War is over if you want it. Come on, Ukraine and Russia. Get together. Gotta love one another right now. So, the message is one of peace. Put it down. Trump keeps saying, there's like 5,000 kids dying a day over there, these young men fighting in this conflict. And it's it's absolutely, and it's a grinder. Russia's got the capability to grind it more than Ukraine. And, it's sapping resources. A lot of money's going in there, and where the hell's all that going? And hard to keep track of all of that.
Well, they did. The Ukraine-Russia war, is essentially a proxy war. There is other countries involved with soldiers on the ground. We know North Korea sent some troops to help fight on the Russian side. China apparently has troops there. Guaranteed that there's NATO troops somewhere in there training, providing weapons.
Not only that, unfortunately, they've been horribly killed. Because Russia got word that they were there, found out where they were located, intel leaks, whatever, and they've killed UN officers have already been killed there from France, Germany. I don't know if any of the Americans casualties are there, but certainly French soldiers have been killed. Like a whole garrison was actually targeted by the Russians. But, this is the cost of war. Make love, not war. War is over now if you want it. Give peace a chance. That would be kind of nice to see, right?
Well, it's strange that, I mean, in a modern context, why so many people who would be on the traditional liberal side of the spectrum are all for cheering on war. I've never seen anything like it. It's like the world went upside down. I like to watch Jimmy Dore once in a while. And Jimmy Dore is, he's a classic, liberal guy, anti-war.
Yeah.
He is Jewish in his background, a little bit of anti-Israel in him, but that's okay. I think he's more concerned on the political side of it, not so much on the anti-Semitic side. But when you see this sort of rallying to flags to encourage war, I don't get it. That's one thing that's concerning. Where are these people with the peace and love, the peaceniks, the hippies from the the 60s? These guys are all now in their 70s and they're cheering on war. I don't understand it. So they're war hawks. Where are the peaceniks in both the left and the right?
Let's deconstruct that, because I think we got the answer for it, and I think you already know the answer to it. I mean, on the surface, it's like, what happened? How did the hippies become the warmongers? What makes that possible? I think a number of things made it possible. One of them was elevating Donald Trump into this piñata type thing where you take a stick and whack at it. Like all the derogatory, critical. They've made this guy a scapegoat for every ill in our culture globally. He's the big bad wolf that's going to blow down and destroy liberal values as we know them in the Enlightenment values. So he's the bad guy. And what's the profit of all of that? The profit, speaking, amplifying the message, are obviously these powerful institutions: NBC, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, CTV, CBC, BBC, PBS, all of them, and they've done hit pieces on them, and wonderfully, and thank God, Trump's got a number of lawsuits where he's actually won. Defamation, they've settled out of court, all of them to this point, but because it doesn't stick. We've had the I forget the name of the guy that did. I'm looking over at my producer
Jackson.
here. No, where they impeached him. They had the special counsel created
what's his name?
way back when, they impeached him twice. They somebody shot him. We don't know. Mueller, the Mueller investigation. And then, of course, it was we had the Steele dossier, which turned out to be nothing. P-gate in Russia turned out to be false. And now,
the terrible phone call.
Yeah, and the terrible, it was a perfect phone call. There was a great phone call. And so we got all this crap stirred up. And Nancy Pelosi once stated it, called it the wrap-up smear. And she said, basically, you plant the story, then they come back to you, said, hey, we're hearing a report that such and such. You go, hey, I don't know. All I know is what I've read in the papers. Sad if true, dangerous if true, concerning if true. And so you've got all this. And then, of course, it's like Trump's running around trying to run an administration with a 500-pound anchor on his back, courtesy of activist judges from the lower courts just flying all over the place. A couple of weak-kneed troublemakers. I hear John Roberts from the Supreme Court, Justice Roberts, is being sued by one of Trump's main guys, one of Trump's team. Very interesting. So you've got all sorts of stuff going on. And then you've got, again, this legacy media. So it goes back to the final point.
The propaganda.
Yeah. Why do the hippies do war? It's I've never seen it. You've got to give a Pelosi clap of condescension to all the legacy media, because they've done a hell of a job convincing people to believe the biggest lie possible. There's my Pelosi.
There it is. You hit it.
So like it was weird because like when the Ukraine war started, all over my block, these little Ukrainian flags started popping up like flowers in spring. Boop, boop, boop. Little Ukraine flags. You go down the little street, right? And then when it became elbows up time, look out, Mike Myers. What the hell? What list were you listed? Oh my God. But anyway, you got the elbows up crowd and, oh, Canada, we're going to tell Trump what's what.
Yeah.
And suddenly all over my block and in businesses and driving up and down the frickin' island here where we live, Blake.
Yeah.
There's frickin' flags everywhere, Canadian flags. I've never seen anything like in my life.
Pride flags are gone and Canadian flags are back, just like that. Snap of the fingers.
Yeah. Okay, Chris, here's a question for you, Blake. Do you think Trump is employed actors? What do you mean by? Do you think Trump is an employed actor himself for the media?
No, I don't think so. I think he is. But here's to answer that question. I mean, Trump is well experienced with the media. I mean, he had a #1 hit show with The Apprentice, and he ran that for years. So he knows how media works on the inside. He's seen how you get ratings. He knows how they work from that direction. He knows how the producers work. He knows how the directors work. He knows how the big executive machine works. And so he sees how the propaganda machine works in the big media and what they expect. And so he knows how to work them. Let's just say he knows how to bring a crowd to follow what he's saying. He knows very similarly, people say, well, he's not a great orator. He doesn't, but quite frankly, 99% of the people out there are not going to listen to a 2-hour lecture on, the Pakistan-India relations
with all the nuance.
Yeah, if they're more interested is give me the Twitter/X feed, 144 characters, smash in the mouth, right? Narrow it down to something really quick. And I do sympathize with people like Noam Chomsky who fought against this idea that these incredibly complex conversations have to be narrowed down to a 30-second to 60-second message. I mean, how do you do that? And the media controls that message. And I think Trump knows that. He's been experienced in that. I mean, he's been really a media character. I mean, as far as I can remember, since the 80s. He was used in shows. He would do drop-ins. He was just kind of a bombastic kind of character. Wasn't afraid to say what he wanted to do. And the funny thing is he was in the banks of all of these Democrats in New York. I mean, he was on Oprah. He was, hanging out with mayors and counselors and TV personalities, and they would have Trump there. And then as soon as he wasn't one of them, you just saw the guns turn. So I don't think he's a media plant. I think otherwise the media would have been on his side. I think they would have been, he's one of us. He works for the machine. And I think he was anti-establishment. He's got nothing to lose. I think that's a benefit. If you're a multi-billionaire, he's got, as they say, FU money. So what are you going to do? Cancel me? I'm still going to be rich. Right? It's like, go try. But
so from Chris's perspective, just to elaborate on the question, for the people he's hired and what's going on, the actors, what I meant by that, has he picked the people that would change the question when asked a question, like the press officer person in the White House? Do you see what he's saying in that, Blake?
Yeah. So, I mean, the press secretaries drive me crazy because I think it's much better now. When you saw Peppermint Patty and the gang when Biden was in there, I mean, they would just spin things so wildly. It was difficult to listen to, frustrating for most of us that had a rational sense of what was happening. But if I'm answering that question properly, I think it's much better now. I don't think they're there to put on a production. I mean, there is the outside of, hey, this is what we're trying to portray. This is the image we're trying to show. But other than that, I don't know if I can answer that question as clear as what he's looking for.
Yeah. My opinion about the current press secretary, you notice she doesn't come in with a big binder like her predecessor.
Yeah.
She just comes in with a little paper and she's up on it because she knows the president, knows the talking points, knows the information, and she just handles it and pushes back a lot. Now, here's the situation. Chris, when you're in that position as the press secretary and somebody asks you a question sometimes you cannot answer it because it's so nuanced, and the enemy, per se, the enemy of the people, legacy media, is that they're going to use that, turn that again, twist it, take it out of context, take a quote. We got this. They were very fine people on both sides. Another lie that they went. So they take things out of context, they amplify it, and you get in trouble. It's just absolutely nonsensical. Have you seen the Welsh flag? We got a freaking dragon on it. Yes, I love it. We love the Welsh flag.
And they know how to sing there too.
And they know how to sing. But so sometimes you can't. Like somebody asked Trump the question about the 51st state, and are you going to take off the tariffs now? Is there any way you could do? And he goes, no, that's not going to happen. And they go, why not? He goes, it's just the way it is. Because I'm not going to tell you my plans of how I'm going to deal with this Carney character that we're going to have our little meeting today. So I'm not playing with that.
Well, it's speaking of propaganda, holy smoke. Did you pay attention to all the media headlines in Canada? They're trying to score that Trump lost that negotiation conversation. It was like, look at Carney, look how wonderful he was, and he's spectacular. Trump 0, Carney 1, and I'm watching all this, and I'm going, is that the same show we watched? I saw a little man who probably stands 5'8", sitting against a much larger man, and I'm thinking he sat there and shivered like a little wet dog. Get the guy a F-350 and at least compensate him for his size problems. Maybe he'll be open to putting carbon in the air again.
Let's not say Mark. He's
little Mark,
little guy.
He prides himself as a hockey player. I could see a goon taking him out in one hit. So
I think Carney did really well in a lose-lose situation. There's no way he could go in there and win anything.
Yeah, he's there for one reason, though.
Yeah, and he spoke the talking points. Said the fentanyl was mentioned. We got to control that at the border. He says we got to change mutual security. Where they were playing politics, but the big picture. And Trump, I just love it. I saw a meme today, very accurate. Says, here's Trump's face before the questions asked about Canada 51st state status, and Trump's expression after. The one before, he's just sitting listening, and the one after, he's like, he's got this little smile going.
Yeah.
He's got his own idea. Apparently there's a big announcement. Trump's saying there's a big announcement. Now, my much better half, Susie Q, she turned to me. She goes, do you think he means Greenland? Because he's like big, America big. Trump's got this vision. He wants to build a shield. The Arctic, which Carney mentioned, is becoming a big problem. What if, hell froze over and somehow there's some sort of deal or something behind the scenes working on Greenland? Trump says, I'm a real estate guy. Never say never. Holy smokes. There's no way. Trump's like a pit bull with a little bone or, a little rubber duck in his mouth. There's no way he's dropping it. Drop Canada. I'm not dropping it. There's no way he hasn't given up on that dream at all. He goes, his final word on it was never say never. And Eric, we got it right here. Never say never. Ghost Town. Please hit us with a thumbs
just
up.
Like Sean Connery. Remember, he disappeared. Never Say Never was his movie to come back as James Bond.
1983. That was when we got 14 thumbs up. Holy smokes, 14 thumbs up. I cannot believe it.
Yeah.
But Blake, as we continue to build pump content here and start become a regular fixture, I think we're going to have a little success here. I think everything's a little bit different. Rich, do you think Trump's going to put a tariff on Record Store Day?
Oh, no.
Well,
God forbid.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, who do tariffs hurt? They're incentivizers to buy foreign products is all they really amount to.
Yeah.
Don't buy the high expensive American product, buy the locally made Canadian product. The problem is our government in their infinite wisdom shipped all our manufacturing, killed our natural resources, all with the one thing that would work. The one trick they pulled would be, you're saving the planet. I remember watching, recycling and excuse me, God forbid it was the CBC did a report. There was our junk, our garbage, our literal garbage on its way to the Philippines on barges. And then the Philippines goes, we don't want it. And they're shipping it all the way on. And so with our tail between our Canadian legs, here comes our junk floating back to us. Meanwhile, half the world isn't doing what we're doing. Blake, tell them about how stupid the carbon tax is when you consider our population vis-a-vis the Americans, what's going on in China, Japan, and also what's going on in India.
Yeah, well, I mean, the carbon tax was just, again, another gun to our own head. It made no sense whatsoever. And I think a lot of it has to do with grinding down what you just described, the manufacturing class that used to be here, the plants, the shipbuilding, all of that was all moving away. Shipbuilding has gone to Europe. The smaller making products and, everything from we buy from stereos to, TVs to really vehicles outside of what's remaining in Ontario, went all overseas as well, which is kind of funny. Here we are trying to stop the carbon, yet we're investing in Chinese industries as part of our strategy. And in turn, they are building 1, 2 coal plants a week, coal-fired plants for energy production, which makes absolutely no sense. But finally, it's going to be interesting how Carbon Carney is going to, this is a guy who wrote about it in his book. And that's the funny thing is the media didn't once during the election go into his book. Because a lot when he was campaigning, he was being speaking diametrically opposed to his own views he wrote in the book. Like, we know the carbon tax is coming back. He wants it, but it's really going to depend on Trump too. I think here's my view on it. I think what's going to happen, Carney's a banker. Right. I don't think he is as much of an ideologue that he pretends to be. I think he had to be an ideologue within that corporate structure. He worked under Harper. So he understands conservative values.
Our American friends, Harper was
Prime Minister of Canada for, unnecessarily unelected in 2015, in my opinion.
Trudeau took him out.
Yeah, let's get the guy with the nice hair and locks and happy smiles.
He's so cute.
He was so cute. That's right. But I think Carney, why Trump wanted Carney, is very simple. Carney is the lead mascot or spokesperson for the WEF now. He was one of the generals. He is the leader of the group of the asset managers, right? The asset manager class. That's your Brookfield, which he was part of, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street.
Indeed.
His control and voice in there would be seen as somebody who can pull those people together. And let's face it, those companies hold trillions of dollars in assets. And if you understand fractional reserve banking, you understand why it's a lot of money. If you have $1 trillion of union pension funds and public pension funds under your control, a lot of these banks will lend 10 to 1 or even 15 to 1 on that ratio. So you got cash in there and you got 15 trillion to go spend. So the more money you get investment, it gets 5 to 10 to 15 times its actually value because they'll just print money to go buy up more things.
Yeah.
So these guys in the asset manager class have taken union pension funds, public pension fund plans, and they have invested against the West. They've invested into China, Indonesia, Pakistan, even India. So my screensaver. No, that's actually a photo I took.
It's Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas.
Canadian made.
Yeah.
It's just the only thing I should have reversed it. The angle is a little bit is the opposite direction on
That's
the video.
beautiful. It's a piece of work. What? Like your camera for reverse? Watch this. Hang on. What about that? Is that how it goes?
That's better. Yeah.
Is that how it's supposed to be?
It's supposed to be that direction from when I took the
here we
photo.
go. Now we're working it.
I was at a rooftop celebration part of our convention, and that was the view from the top there. It was great. But anyways, I just wanted to say Trump knows that these guys hold such incredible wealth in control and power over the world. He wants that money to come home. And I think it's a national security question. He can sit with Carney. Carney is going to understand that conversation. I want BlackRock. I want Vanguard, State Street. I want all you guys, Brookfield, to bring your money and reinvest those pension funds into redeveloping and reindustrializing the United States and the Western world. I don't think Trump just views just America. He's an America firster, but he wants to see the West be strong again overall, because we're better when we're all strong. I don't think he wants to be the bully sitting there beating everybody up. I think he's the disruptor. He's the guy who's blowing up the established order that's gone the wrong direction. And as you said, they've deconstructed our industrial base, moved it offshore, and now we're stuck. So that's just the way it is. So now all move back here, including these cameras, these microphones made in China.
Get that back into America.
Get it all back here. Get it back to the UK. Get it back into Europe. Get it back into the United States and Canada. We can do it. We have the resources. There's nothing stopping it, except for when you have trillions and trillions of dollars invested in union pension funds and public pension funds. That's why in Canada, why did the boomers all run to Carney? Because they're tied to their pensions. The government class, their pensions. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. It's not a conspiracy theory. It is purely self-interest. I need to protect what I own for the future of my retirement. Meanwhile, our healthcare is collapsing. Everything else is collapsing. Young people can't buy homes. The door is shutting for a lot of people because opportunities are closing. Business is not there. And I think Trump said, no, we got to flip the script. That's why the Democrats lost in the U.S. They stopped representing the people who actually work. They represented the asset class managers, the billionaires, the trillionaires. They all got rich off of it too. We saw Nancy Pelosi. You mentioned her pocketbook has sure shown well for her while working in the Senate or in the House of Representatives.
So we're talking about these issues. I mean, there's big picture stuff. It's kind of interesting to try and figure out the what's what. Like, things are happening in our world. I think the religion of it all, if you will, is the whole idea of the climate, the planet is taking supremacy over everything. Yeah. Years ago, I saw this thing. I think it was Glenn Beck did a thing where it's got all these elderly people going, I have lived a good life. I have lived a good, and one after they're all, I have lived a good life. If we don't go, there'll be no future for our children, and then it goes signed by the, World Economic Forum. The idea, and of course we got what's in Canada, they call it MAID, medically assisted induced death. And they call it MAID. And so a lot of people, unfortunately, it's like in the number, it's the thousands. And of course, outrageously, and it's, admittedly, some of the low-hanging fruit, if you will, some of the more outrageous, most polarizing examples do tend to get play. But there was a former military female that was injured, suffered some debilitating injuries. And she wanted to ramp up on like one of her little trailers like we got. And they said, we don't have that, but we could, if you're feeling life's not worth going on, we can help you with that problem. And because we're on YouTube, I don't want to elaborate too much, but basically the government was saying, we'll help you out because the planet can't sustain it. And of course, it's the whole idea is like this is, we're overpopulated. We got all this problem. And here's the latest one. I just had to laugh at this. So England, we got our friend Chris from Wales here. The UK, the whole message is, hey, invest in solar. So you got all your solar panels and then go, hey, guess what we're doing now? We're going to seed the sky and dim the sun. I just put 70,000 into my solar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was yesterday. We're doing a new thing now. I think you'll like it.
As soon as I heard Bill Gates wanted to do that, I was like, oh my God, that guy is, he was looking for a way. We got the technology to dim the sun.
What could possibly go wrong?
Exactly.
So,
Logan's Run.
Yeah. Chris, there is a documentary going right now. So is it possible for you to grab a link for the documentary? Because people are going to watch this thing that don't know the Rachel Scott Show or anything. Folks, share the video with us. Please give the thumbs up. First one out of the gate. We really want to grow this thing. I think I got a great partner in Blake here. He's got a lot of insight. He's got a lot of experience that he brings to the discussion. But yeah, okay, here you go. Here's some statistics. In Canada, we have 15,343 people receive medically assisted MAID in 23. The total number of MAID deaths since 2016 is 44,958 people, in which the state has helped facilitate this. Now, I understand with ideologies that, we're just a piece of protoplasm. As a Christian, I don't take a view of humanity this way, but I think it is easier when you remove God from the equation. We're just biological protoplasms. It's time to go.
And I think when you see everything is moved down to the bean counter class. So essentially, we've got unfunded liabilities. What's a way we can save money? Well, let's just get rid of people and let them voluntarily remove themselves from society and be a burden. And sadly, that Christian ethos has been removed. Belief
it's under a huge attack.
And our medical system is under heavy attack. I mean, the idea that the Hippocratic Oath was supposed to be, doctors were supposed to take that now, or to, help people live at all costs. And quite frankly, I mean, they're telling people that literally you're suffering from depression. That's a reason to go kill yourself. And we'll help you do that. Or people that they're saying as an answer to the opioid crisis. If you're chronically addicted, and it's just this idea. It's scary that people are like trash. They could be just tossed out when they're no longer needed. It's almost like a commodification of people where they just can be used and tossed out when they're no longer needed. And it's really sad. It's terrible. Life has been devalued to the needs and whims of a certain group of people who just say, well, I don't want to be responsible for that anymore. But, and that might be part of the, this idea that we used to, a lot of our society, I knew this nurse. She was back, 25 years ago. She was in her 90s then. And she worked in an Alberta hospital back. And she said back when she was young, all the hospitals were privately run by volunteers, foundations. They were fully funded. Nobody was denied health care. It was all run by, it said nonprofit groups. And there was a great healthcare system. So how all of this gets caught up into this socialist viewpoint where the government is there to save everybody's lives. Well, look what's happened. We come full circle. The government takes over healthcare. Everybody gets free healthcare now. Well, it's not free. It's got to be paid for by somebody.
Correct.
But in the end, they're now, we can't afford everybody on healthcare, so we got to kind of off a few of you now to save some dollars.
We're just going to help you out.
We're going to help you out.
Your transition in love. And because you got to be, again, we're on liberal YouTube, so I always want to be sensitive around these things. Holy smokes.
Well, let me just, one point I thought was kind of interesting is in the legislature in British Columbia, the Green Party put forward a petition for human composting.
Fantastic.
And I just so I'm going, what's next? We're one step away from Soylent Green. Like you're going to have the little video, you get to die watching this video as they put you under, and then they're going to compost you and turn you into what? Human food? You'll get an apple tree planted on you. I mean, I don't know. But
I mean, when you talk about that, a lot of it, they're called natural burials. When my mom died, we had a very proactive company in that regard, the funeral home that looked after my mother's burial. they said, you
this something
you
would
could, and you can plant a memorial tree,
Yeah.
or you can do the thing where you become a beautiful tree after you've had your time here on Earth. You can help the planet by becoming a beautiful tree, because we sow the body and we put a little. Anyway, it's kind of crazy, but this is the kind of thing. Again, it's all this orientation towards worshiping the creation more than the creator, so to speak.
Exactly.
That old chestnut, pardon the pun.
What's that? Isn't that Romans chapter 1? They would, or I think that's in there about.
So again, the chapter and verse. Hey, I meant to say, I have missed this. I love this kind of program on YouTube with Sue and Rachel. Thanks, Chris. We're glad you enjoy. We hope you enjoy. Please reward us with a thumbs up, folks. It does help out. But there's so much going on, like in terms of these world movements, like Carney comes in. Okay. Remember years ago, there's so many funny things that happened. Remember Joe Clark? He's a Canadian former prime minister
of the Progressive Conservative Party.
He came in and they got his ass out of there. He won a minority government. They no confidence to his ass, got him out of there. And immediately Pierre Elliott Trudeau came in, and you know why they got him out? Because he said he was going to raise the tax on gas by about 10 cents or some bloody thing. Trudeau said he's a jerk to do that. Pierre, Justin's dad. So he fights against old Joe on that. Joe gets bounced. Trudeau comes in 6 months later, quietly raises the gas tax even more than what old Joe was threatening to do. And nobody said a peep, because everybody would have been caught with their pants down, looking like absolute morons with regards to that.
Blake was pretty close there.
Blake, you're pretty close with your verse, chapter and verse. What do we got, Sue?
Romans 1:25.
Romans chapter 1.
Read it.
Verse 35. Okay, chapter 1. Would you want NIV? Let's go.
Let's go for it.
Okay. They exchanged the truth about God for a lie. They worshipped and served creative things rather than the Creator, who is forever praised. Amen. So this is the creation, the planet, all of this. It just goes crazy.
Well, and you see the dehumanization, but even the point that they were saying in the legislature, actually the speaker had to interject and say, that's enough. We don't need the details. But the fact they were calling it human composting is just dehumanizing the whole aspect of death, right? I mean, you have people that care about people. Fine. What you described was great. I mean, if somebody wants to, I've often said, hey, when I die, I want to die like an old West character. Put me in a pine box, or, I remember Jeremiah Johnson, the guy, Robert Redford movie, and I'm trying to remember the name of the mountain man who died frozen against a tree and left his Henry rifle there and said, bequeathed it to whoever found it. Which turns out to be Jeremiah Johnson. What a great place to die, leaning up against a tree looking over a mountain valley. I'm sure that would be great.
Yeah, it was a good movie. Now, for this question, do you want to take this on, Blake?
Which one's that one? But I have a question. Oh, do you think Trump would have attacked Canada if Queen Elizabeth was still queen? I don't think Trump's attacked Canada. Number one, I don't think that's not the act that he was doing. If he attacked Canada, he would have gone to war against Canada. But the problem is, I don't think America hates Canada. So it doesn't matter who was the leader of the United States. It would never happen. We're just, as I said earlier in our conversation, the cross-border relationships that we have are not just business ties, but it's family. It would cause upheaval in the U.S. if that would ever happen.
Anybody who's had the experience of driving on the Boundary Highway, you got to have a house on the left. It's nowhere, nothing's around for miles on either side.
Yeah, just a ditch.
A ditch. And then on the other side, you got a road. On one side of the road is Canada, the other side is America. People just live there next door. They're farm friends for forever. But here's the thing also. I love the way Blake said that Trump's not attacking. What he's trying to do is to redefine the relationship, because Canada is in the process of redefining itself. That's why you have Justin Trudeau out there going, we're a post-nationalist state with no core shared values, no core identity, no shared values. We come from everywhere. We're just a great a cultural mosaic beautifully stitched together.
Well, and I think the other part of Trump, I was just kind of reading what Chris was saying there. He's Scottish blood, but his connection to Canada goes to his grandfather. His grandfather was involved in the Yukon Gold Rush and in the British Columbia Gold Rush. He built hotels, ran saloons. Yeah, saw that. That's yep, awesome, Rochelle. But yeah, he's connected to Canada. His family's wealth was first developed in Canada. So I think we need to understand they were part of our Western Gold Rush history.
Yeah.
The Trumps were. And matter of fact, in Washington State as well. I mean, he moved around like a lot of gold rush people did. The businesses would go from one boom town to the next, and he made a lot of wealth through that. So, yeah, he has a connection to Canada, and he also has investments in Canada. You know, the hotel real estate. Sadly, I think in the first 4 years, a lot of unwarranted attacks against it. And people have to understand the real estate that he controls, he doesn't actually own, he manages. He's a hotelier. I know the guys who built the Trump Tower, and I met them because our company was going to potentially look after some property of theirs, but they were not from Canada. They're Indonesians. And so, you know, it's they own the real estate. He wants to manage it and put his brand on it. But yeah, he invests in Canada. He has a family history in Canada. So I think that's when he says that, what did he call it just yesterday? That arbitrary line that just goes across. Yet when you look the shape of it, if you just remove it, he called that beautiful shape.
Yeah, because that's his vision for a secure North American enclave against China. China's a problem. China's definitely in Trump's crosshairs.
Yeah, and I think he knows that. I mean, that's the problem with Canada. Canada, I think, has become the staging ground of the foreign influence crowd around China. And I've been saying this to people. The choke point for where the Chinese have so much influence is at that pension fund investment side. You have billions and billions of trillions of Canadian dollars now invested in Chinese industry. The Chinese now have an open door to do whatever you want. I mean, they own our pension funds. They're buying up our mining companies. They've been buying up our oil companies. They've been buying into everything to the point where the government
the brick and rail routine, and they did it in Australia as well. Northern Australia, they've got their own port there, all sorts of problems.
But what's interesting is that they've infiltrated not just the business side, but they've infiltrated our cultural and political institutions. And when I say cultural, we're talking educational side, the universities. They've got their own professors in there. They're promoting a viewpoint that doesn't exist. And what somebody, a good friend of ours that we both know, Rachel, is, but I won't say his name because I don't want him to get crucified for me saying this, but if it ever got out there. But, you know, he basically says that the Chinese have worked effectively in British Columbia to riling up the First Nations in the leadership by cozying up close to them, trying to be co-sympathetic and placing the Chinese not as settlers, but as victims of European colonialism and racism. Okay. So they've been really milking that angle within the academia of British Columbia and within that, the whole land claim side. So the Chinese have foreign influence on a lot more than just business trade. They are controlling the politics and also controlling our First Nations people, not all of them, but they are influencing the process. DRIPA, the UN DRIPA, who promoted that? Our enemies who've supported the United Nations, and then our local government in British Columbia voted in favor of supporting the UN initiative on DRIPA. Nobody wants to have unlimited control by the United Nations over where we work with our First Nations people in British Columbia, but the Chinese are in there steering it. And that's the problem. they're influencing what could cost us trillions of dollars in future development. But yeah, that's where Trump, I think he sees that. You can guarantee they've been watching this for a while. They've been trying to route out their own molds that have gotten into their deep state, which are tied to China. People say Russia, 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 and I go, the Clintons were working with the Russians, for crying out loud. They were working with a Canadian company selling uranium to Russia. Like, let's not hide the fact that this Canada has been a playground for international interest for a long time. So we need to clean that up, and I think that's what Trump wants. He says, let's create Fortress North America. Let's be united in our efforts to protect the area. I would love to see Canada to have the same liberties my own people have in the United States, and that would be, less taxes, more wealth, better healthcare systems. I mean, there's all things we could do better, and maybe Canada as a sovereign nation still within that relationship could show that it could do the same thing, for its own people. But we are so divided. We'd be better as independent states because we operate that way. Central Canada has their own view. Ontario, like we could talk about Rob Ford for about an hour right now, or Doug Ford. Sorry, same thing.
Yeah,
one on crack, one on ham sandwiches. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing that division in Canada heavily right now, and it's being amplified because we're seeing what's happening in the West. And again, who's behind all this, right? And China is a big part of that foreign influence. They're shaking that tree as much as they can to keep destabilizing us. So we stay reliant off China.
Yeah, I'm going to show something. The whole thing, like I took the little Mill Bay ferry over, and as we're coming into our little cove on the other side, we're just hopping over from Sydney, British Columbia, back onto this side of the island. If anybody knows Vancouver Island, it's kind of split down. Hey, Stephen, how you doing, man? It's good to see you. Stephen McElwain, all the way from Los Angeles, California. But check this. This is, I'll give you a background. 2 little girls have gone missing in Nova Scotia. The police come out and give a public announcement. Now, obviously, with the urgency of trying to find these 2 little girls that have gone missing, these young girls, you think they want to get to it, but here's what we get. Let's take a look at Nova Scotia's finest. This is a Royal Canadian Mounted Police press conference. Let's get her back here. Let's pause her, and let's make sure we can give her full volume. All right.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I am Corporal Carly McCann, Provincial Public Information Officer for the Nova Scotia RCMP. Thank you all for being here today. Bonjour, je suis la caporale Carly McCann, agent d'information publique pour la GRC en Nouvelle-Écosse. Merci de votre présence aujourd'hui. First, I acknowledge that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the traditional and unceded ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. I also recognize that African Nova Scotians are a distinct people whose histories, legacies, and contributions have enriched that part of Mi'kma'ki known as Nova Scotia for over 400 years.
Okay, so we got 2 little girls missing. She gives us a lecture on land claims by the First Nations in the local area, and then we get a nice social message about the Black people in Nova Scotia that have been there for 400 years. Well, God bless you, Black people in Nova Scotia. We just love you. But the point is what does this have to do with the little girls? Like, let's get to the story about the 2 missing girls. There's 2 girls missing here. Hang on, I got one more. We also like to acknowledge our gay, lesbian, and it just goes on and on. This is kind of the divisive nature of it's kind of us and them and them and them and you and they, and it runs counter. There's a contradiction of I'm so proudly, like, I'm Native American, I'm part Native American, Métis properly described, Scottish, French, and Native American, primarily Irish, and they're but the thing is like to claim those things and to amplify that identity then becomes something. Well, I'm not that. I'm this, that, and the other thing, but I'm not that. And so it becomes this case of dividing the rest of Canada. Well, why don't we have a day for the Welsh? We do it St. David's Day. No, I mean do it like they really do it. And here's the other one. The outrages never cease. Today I watched this one. Apparently they've got a statue of a heavyset black lady they've established in New York. They're going to tear down the statues of all the American people in the history that affected. Robert E. Lee had a little something to do with American history, the American Civil War. And then, but that's no good. We got to get rid of that. We got to get rid of Jefferson. God, he's no good. But let's put the heavyset girl. We're pro donuts in America. So the way they put the heavyset gal in a statue form in the middle of New York. What the hell are you trying to tell us? It's supposed to exemplify culture. It's supposed to promote culture. Roger Scruton, the great conservative commentator, spoke so often about art and architecture and culture and how these things could build a people and nurture a people. But when you take these things away, when you start degrading them, then what is this our role model? Is this healthy for us? Oh, I'm having a little trouble with my fatty liver. Come on, America, do better. All right.
There was one on in Italy too. So.
Did Italy do a fat lady?
Yeah.
Was she a lady of color?
Yes.
She was a beautiful lady of color in Italy. Praise God. That's just lovely. I mean, for the love of God, all the stuff that's gone on with the Catholic. Somebody here asked earlier, what do you think about choosing a new pope? I'm not Catholic, so I don't have a dog in that race. I have my own theological reasons for disavowing Catholicism for myself. Mm-hmm. But if you follow the tenets of the faith that Christ was crucified, buried, resurrected, you're going to be just fine. Faith in the Lord. Trust the Lord with all your heart.
You don't need. We used to have those deep discussions with our little Catholic boy, Jason.
We
had some great conversations.
It's hilarious. We talk all theology.
But he went through a tough time. You watch somebody like that. He started at Jehovah's Witness as a kid, got shunned, became a Seventh-day Adventist, joined the Catholic Church, and then became part of the Eastern Orthodox.
Oh, yeah, that's a big movement right now. A lot of Eastern Orthodox happening. Okay, this is Delphina with a really great comment. Speak to this, Blake. I like this comment. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So she's in the movie industry. Trump is doing something. Now, the British Columbia film.
I was a member once.
Yeah, well, listen, we all got, when you and I were working for the skills training thing we did?
Yeah. I
went to work for the Department of Tourism or whatever, the minister's office, Minister Skills Training and Labor.
Yeah.
And in that office, my job was to write a letter in the guise, after the manner of being the assistant deputy minister to culture, in order to talk to the head of the BC Film Corporation. It took me 2 weeks to write one paragraph. I kept writing, how's this? They go, you can't write that because he'll think it says, oh, great to hear from you. I look forward to it. No, don't look forward to nothing. You can't put that in. Get rid of that. I really like it. They taught me how to write a letter as a government servant, falsely so-called. Mm-hmm. It took me 2 weeks. When they were finished with me teaching me how to write as a politician or as a representative of the government to somebody wanting handouts, the BC Film Commission wants government handout. It said nothing. There was no promise. There was hey there.
Yeah.
Hi. Hello. It was like a paragraph of absolutely nothing. You could have gone, looked, and there was nothing you could have possibly used. It was like being in a prison. What they've left us, they stripped of us all our weapons. We have nothing to defend ourselves with. Wait a second, we got MacGyver in here. Has anyone got a bobby pin? I think I could get a lock and break the coat to get out of the door. Okay, Blake, take this one on. This is great. Anyway, this is great news for you down in California. America's going to make America great again when it comes to film. It's going to be produced in America. Yeah, he's going to tariff the hell out of it. And it's going to kill the industry up here. Go ahead.
Well, and also maybe the Chinese influence on Hollywood film production because they have mass ownership in it, and they call the shots. What's being produced. So maybe you'll see a revolution within Hollywood to start producing America First type shows. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, what the other one you want to answer, the corrupted media landscape,
Yeah, what do you-
the huge
yeah,
contributing
talk about
factor,
that.
the current
Yeah.
disgrace of Canada. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a subsidized propaganda arm. What used to be independent media, there used to be a group of journalists on the left back 25 years ago, Maud Barlow and the Council of Canadians. You probably recognize that name, Rachel, but she was the one first pointing out the dangers of a consolidating of the media as what was happening in Canada. We pretty much had our own local television stations, local radio stations. We had our own local newspapers and community papers, and they all had their own opinions, and it was quite diverse. But then these large corporations started buying them all up and consolidating and reducing local editorial control and moving it to centrally controlled editorial boards. So Canada really is in a bad shape when it comes to its traditional media, because it's in the hands of about three major entities outside of the Toronto Star and a little bit of the National Post. It shows some balance, if you could call it that, but they have everything from Rogers to Global. Obviously CBC is already tied to the government. They can't compete against the rest of the world, much like the old Canadian content days with music. Put it this way, we couldn't listen to American music all the time on Canadian radio stations. There was I believe it was a 60% content rule, or was it 40?
Yeah.
And you wouldn't be able to hear what you wanted to hear all the time. And lucky for us who live near the border, we'd pick up all the Seattle stations and listen to all the great heavy metal and new rock coming out of there on KSW. KZOK. Yeah. Yeah. Steve Slayton and KSW. But that consolidation had reduced opinions and got rid of the local opinions. No longer were your editorial boards local, all being managed out of central bureaus. And that made it too easy. It's too easy in Canada now. You just have to pay them off, give them their subsidy, because they can't compete. Nobody is going to pay their advertising rates. So they take government funds now. So essentially, Canada is, when it comes to its dinosaur media, its establishment media is dead, but they have enough power by government subsidy to keep the masses, typically the older, boomer and older kind of aged people who are used to turning on CBC and CTV News. And that's kind of it. That's what they watch on TV. And those of us, I don't even have cable anymore. I cut cable a few years ago. I watch everything on YouTube, Rumble, you name it, any alternative, X, different areas. I get all my media from different directions. And that's really what the divide is now in Canada. It is a younger Gen X and under split with the boomers and older.
And then what's interesting is that you got the outlier boomers such as myself, who's all in. Like I used to wake up every day. I'm all happy. I'm a positive person. I get my coffee. I'm all excited to start my day. And then I'm 5 minutes in watching CTV or CBC. And Chris, I'll address some of your concerns in just a sec, but I want to do this. And I'd be angry. And I said, I got to cut this. I turned to say, this is no good for me. I got to cut this. Now I wake up and I was doing my own show. I'm all happy, having a good time. Blake, to the point of 6 corporations owning everything, this is a classic. It's been going around for a few years now. Let's take a look at it. This is a classic piece of broadcasting. A few years ago it came out. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about the trouble and trying to get responsible, one-sided news stories
plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Oh, that's just, I've seen that in different versions where they capture it every time, and it's disgusting.
Okay, but the important thing for our viewers to know is, listen, you may consider yourself a conservative. You're watching Fox News. The claim has gone out that Fox is often opposition, kind of controlled opposition, that they have all the talking parts. People like Trey Gowdy, even Jim Jordan, they talk a big game. They go out and they go, we're going to get him. We're going to really get him. We're going to get him. And it ends up being like Elmer Fudd. Oh, you West go away, Wabbit. We're going to get Wabbit. And he never does because the rabbits are smarting him. So the point is that all that is controlled from ABC, MSNBC, CBS, all the and of course even Fox is in there, CNN, and they get the same script because there's one source coming out saying, read this, we want this to go out. And what was the message there? People like you and me are the danger. Because we're just civilians sharing our opinion about, gosh, I don't know. Like, I'm not too sure if my fellow trans people is doing the best interest for ourselves and teaching the children all about the rainbow. And then it just gets kind of crazy.
But notice, everything is consolidated. Even the editorial language was written for all of them from a central source. Who wrote that, right? That's who you want to know. But you're right. I think we've been thrown into a sports arena and to play sports against each other with politics, right? This is team blue versus team red versus team. And that's what they want you to buy into. So you watch Fox, you get caught up into the red team. I'm on red team and I want them to blow out the blue team. It comes down to this. It's people, man. Like, everybody's in a lot of ways different in different ways. We should be celebrating our diversity. There's nothing wrong with diversity.
No, exactly. Absolutely right.
Instead, we're told, no, tribal up, man. Get in your tribe, fight them, hate them. Now it's hate. What disagree? Now it's about hating, using violence now.
Let's move Tesla, for the love of God.
Let's create groups called call them, anti-fascist and then be fascist, right? And act like fascist, wear black and masks and beat up people in the streets. I'm sorry, that is a fascist. You can, like the brown shirt. So
sorry, liberal heroes.
Yeah, it's true. Not those fake.
We've been here for 127. I think on the first show, because it's intense, we're covering a lot of ground. But just so I think anybody watches should get a sense of what we're going to be about on this program. I think a 90-minute show is a really good one for now. Just the old thing. For my good friend Chris Mann over in England or over in Wales, but United Kingdom, I love this. I got this one for you. It's called one of those memes. I created this one, kind of how it started and how it's going, how it started, how's it doing. Okay, so there we go. You've got the lady in the lake. She's got Excalibur. It's a noble Excalibur. And then we've got this noodle, King Charles, out running around. How it started, how it's going. It's not going great. It's a lot. The royalty, and of course, and tomorrow, next week we're going to do it, Bob. Like I said, I'm going to do a half-hour program every day, folks, every day. I'll be announcing on this channel, and I want to change the profile pic. I want me and Blake together. I might even do something with what we got going today, and just I can do a little Photoshop. But ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for being here. Please give us a thumbs up on the program. We'll talk about James O'Keefe. We'll talk about, too, the over-sensationalized kind of, there's a little graft, there's a little money from our side of the political spectrum as well, where, oh, I got a big story and it's going to be, yeah, it's a great story. It's a big story, but maybe just pull back a little on all that, because litter, good word for it, litter or X platform just lit up from the conservative side of the fence, or, from the MAGA side. And everybody's, oh, he's got something coming. What could it be? His life's in danger. What? Oh, my God. Where do I send my nickel? So it becomes a little goofy. Ladies and gentlemen, we just love you. As Marty says, hang loose. And remember, as Bruce Stern would say, you're not going to fool me as a governor. Oh. All right, everybody. My good friend Blake, a final word to you, buddy.
I'll just tell everybody one of my favorite songs that got me kind of semi-red pilled in my early life was the Disposable Heroes of Hypocrisy. Television is a drug of a nation. Look up that video on YouTube and listen to the lyrics. That's a big one.
Who put it out? Whose song is it?
Disposable Heroes of Hypocrisy. That's the name of the rap group.
Disposable Heroes of
Hypocrisy.
Of hypocrisy. Democracy, hypocrisy. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Blake. Take care, everybody. We're going to be back next Wednesday at this hour, and we're going to be continuing to do this as time goes on. Thank you, Delphina. How very kind. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. We really want to get some heat and motion behind this. I may be going at 12 noon. I'm thinking at this point, maybe 12 noon every day for a half hour, just a nooner kind of thing, and do a nooner show.
I think we'll probably go to an evening show for the regular.
We might end up going to an evening show for the regular thing. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes, how the word gets up. We'll see how this thing does. Please share it. Please promote it. One last thing I do want to do. I want to share my X platform. A lot of people are on the platform that think like us. And I am Rachel's Ghost, copy VC over there. Here's a link to my X account. So you can follow my adventures over there. And Blake, feel free to drop yours in there as well. But here's mine. And it's right here. It's hypertext in the chat here. Please strike that, hit that, and follow me on the X platform if you'd like to see. I do some funny stuff. There's a few things I've created. I did one of a Viking. I'll do that for another show. Blake, were you able to get that done?
I'm just finding my X link right now.
Yeah.
I think I had it turned on, but I'll just got to find it here.
The Disposable Heroes of Hypocrisy. That's not you.
I know I put that in there so people knew what it was.
All right, buddy. All right. Well, we'll get that next show. Thanks, everybody, for now. We love you. Blake, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you all.
MAGA and 51st State.